Emmanuel Macron to end EU's free movement, but Angela Merkel plots to form a United States of Europe before she steps down.
But before we get into the video, guys, don't forget we just launched our latest collection.
With everything going on in the world, the I Believe in Britain campaign is our subtle way of keeping the Brexit message alive.
We've got t-shirts, hoodies, mugs, caps, you name it.
Just click on the link in the description box or click here to get one of your own.
So let's spread the word because we are the silent majority and we do believe in Britain.
Well, who would have thought? There is a miracle. President Macron, the guy who has always been pro-Schengen, pro-free movement, it's still pro-European Union, he's a federalist. He's now changing his mind when it comes to open borders. It's because of what's been happening over the past week or so in France, but also, generally speaking, in the last decade, almost 700 people in France have lost their lives because of the incidents that we've had, all the attacks from the crazies. And so now Macron wants to advocate and push in the European Council and the European Commission to overhaul the Schengen program so that the European Union countries could actually start to defend and protect their own borders and territories. It's a very fascinating time because at the same time you have even people like Nigel Farage tweeting that I'm beginning to like Emmanuel Macron more and more. This is obviously coming after following the intervention that Macron had with obviously the culture battles and everything that's happening with the illegal migrants. And so he's been pretty sound on free speech and defending the Western values and civilization. And now he's actually changing his mind on open borders. Macron himself has said that we must intensify our fight against illegal immigration and against the trafficking networks. He said that the number of police officers posted on France's borders would be increased from 2,400 to 4,800, essentially doubling the numbers for now. And then he's also said that I am in favor of a deep overhaul of Schengen to rethink its organization and to strengthen our common border security with a proper border force. Macron is now obviously is promoting this new vision, which again, he will be struggling because there are a number of countries out there, again, countries like Germany and others who are not really in favor, and we're going to talk about why, because Angela Merkel probably has other plans. Now, France will rally support before then and hopes that Germany will put its name to the plan, because otherwise it's not going to happen. We know that those two always have to work together. If one partner doesn't do it, then the whole plan will basically collapse. And this is the whole problem with the European Union. On the one hand, you have 27 nations who have different priorities and they all have different demands. But then you have the top of the team. You got your Germanys and France. And then obviously then after that, there was a time when Italy had bigger influence. They still do, but not as much, especially financially. They need to always work together because these are the ones who are the puppet masters of the whole of the club. Now, on the other hand, we have a situation where the Brexit negotiations getting intensified, and we don't exactly know what's going on because now we have Barnier again coming out to say that, we are happy to compromise when it comes to fisheries and the UK waters, even though he's already admitted before, this was about a couple of months ago, he said that, we have to compromise because we know that the UK government won't change their mind. He even went back to France and Macron and others to try to convince them. Didn't work. He's now come out again to admit that he as in like the European Union, must compromise on the bloc's hardline fishing demands in order to broker a Brexit agreement with Britain. I don't understand why this is happening when you only have a few weeks to go. This is nothing new. You know that the UK obviously have their demands, and everybody is still worried about what the UK government would do because if both sides compromise on fisheries, it really depends what sort of compromise we're talking about at this point. Because Barnier has now told obviously a meeting that we are happy to compromise if it's reasonable and sustainable. Who's going to decide that? Is now obviously responding to the reports that that the British fleet could see their catch quotas as much as double. Barnier has now admitted that this could spell an end to the common fisheries policy. Well, maybe that's a good idea, Michelle. Maybe you should rethink the whole common fisheries policy because it's not a good idea. It's a protectionist program that's not really helping. It's only helping certain, obviously in terms of fisheries industry, certain countries like France and Netherlands and countries like that. It doesn't work, and you know it. Now, Angela Merkel, on the other hand, is obviously going to be potentially causing trouble for the other countries in Europe, because there are speculations and suggestions, and it's not really untrue, because we know that from her speeches and documents that she's been sending out, that she is plotting to create an EU fiscal union before stepping down in 2021. This has always been her biggest dream, to create a fiscal union, to harmonize every aspect, especially when it comes to the financial aspects of the European Union and the budgetary and everything else. But this is the beginning. If it happens, or when it happens, it's the beginning of this United States of Europe, which will not last. If these people want to keep their European Union, which again will not last that long, they have to, instead of centralizing every single thing, they have to localize the powers. But they don't get it, because what they're actually doing now is the exact opposite. And because you have a situation where, people always said that Charles de Gaulle, when he was president of France back then, said that Europe is France and Germany. The rest are just the trimmings. We know that they always had this view, the two countries, the two top countries, and now obviously you have people saying that both Macron and Merkel are aware that the EU is in a crucial period, and that France and Germany, even though that they have different views on a lot of issues, have to stick together. There is a bit of a problem here, because on the other hand, the Commission are also causing trouble by trying to centralize democracy even further. You still technically have the European Parliament, which is not a real parliament, we know that, but now they're actually going to make it worse, and we're going to mention this right now, because what they're trying to do, they had some negotiations behind closed doors, as usual, between the European Council and the European Parliament, and now they've decided to find a way to give more power to Brussels. So all these democratic powers that they keep talking about, the European Parliament have with their MEPs, all the vetoes, all the votes, that's now going to go away when it comes to the EU budget deal, and it's going to start from here. I mean, it's laughable, I get it, but it's also quite concerning for all the countries who are still members of the European Union. So for those of you who are worried about this potential Brexit deal, trade deal, is this going to be, is it going to have a lot of compromises or not? Are we going to have just a free trade deal based on obviously goods and services or not? Just be happy that we're not actually a full member, because if this was happening with us being in the EU, it would not end well, because they're completely losing their powers now. So under the new proposal, the European Commission will be handed powers to identify breaches of EU rules and to propose a suspension of reduction of budget handouts. Brilliant. So they're going to make their own decisions. They're going to now use that to monitor the EU rules and who's doing what, especially when it comes to like countries like Hungary, who are, rebels. They're going to use that to basically stop democracy. This tiny democracy they had. And immigration has always been a big issue. We know, even New Labour under Tony Blair, they admitted back then, when they were part of the EU, this was always the plan. And even Mandelson himself admitted that we actually sent out search parties to get them to come and made it hard for Brits to get work. This was always the plan, because the whole thing was to harmonize the whole situation, create some sort of Star Trek fantasy world, some sort of weird United States of family of Europe or whatever. And we know that this was a while ago that Mandelson actually admitted, after they lost power back in 2010. And this has always been happening. Macron is now changing his mind just because of the recent events. Don't think he's suddenly some sort of angel when it comes to freedom and democracy and sovereignty. He's still pretty sound on cultural stuff and protecting Western values, but generally speaking, he's still a globalist, elitist, federalist. I mean, all the ists they could think of. But this whole thing is going to escalate, so I'll keep you guys posted on this channel as usual, because especially when it comes to Brexit trade deal. So don't forget to actually subscribe to the channel, and don't forget, if you believe in Britain, and if you're part of the silent majority, get your merchandise today. Obviously, we have the hoodies, and the t-shirts, and everything else that we have on the site. Just check out the link in the description or just click on the link on top of my head somewhere here. I'm Tousi. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.